United States as if China has a stake with the military within the United States, and it does. The same time, folks, that the nations are preparing to destroy us in the Western world, especially in America, we have shysters and con men eating the meat off of the bones of the most vulnerable people in our communities with no protection. It's a feast day for con men. Same thing happened during the time of Masada. The destitute were being taken advantage of on every level. Read on.
Now those that kept watch in the temple came hereupon running to the captain of the temple, and told it of him, who then came up thither, and not without great difficulty was able to shut the gate again.
Come on.
This also appeared to the vulgar to be a very happy prodigy, as if God thereby opened them the gate of happiness. But the men of learning understood it, that the security of their holy house was dissolved of its own accord.
It was wide open for destruction. The Most High gave the leaders the signs according to the word, and our leaders ignored the signs. And I'm going to tell you this, folks. When the Romans came, they didn't just kill the people, destroy the people. They destroyed the leaders. They destroyed the same leaders that were utilized by the government to deceive the people. Why? Because you have influence. They're not going to let anyone with influence stay alive. They'll just re-educate the children. But those of influence must go. And you can see it in that day. The so-called pulpit leaders today saying, I did everything you asked me to do. I was on your side. You know, they're like, listen, no, off with your head. I gave you power to have some prestige amongst them. Mm-hmm. You're nothing to me because they no longer exist. Let's go to the straight gate. Anything else on that, other lawyer?
This is more of a they can always read.
Yeah, when you get a chance, go to the book of Josephus. War of the Jews, chapter 6. And check that out. Chapter 6, paragraph 2, verses 19, verses 3. And matter of fact, read verses 20 through 22 for me. Mm-hmm. 20 through 22. Those verses.
Okay, it says here, what does it start off with?
Right here. Book of the Jews, paragraph 19. Paragraph 3, verses 20 to 22.
Mm-hmm. It says here, go back. A false prophet was the occasion of these people's destruction.
A false prophet was the occasion to these people's destruction. Read.
Who had made a public proclamation in the city that very day that the Most High commanded them to get up upon the temple, and that there they should receive miraculous signs of their deliverance.
Now, I wanted to go back there. Why, folks? Because when it all goes down, the pastors will be the Pied Pipers leading people to these stadiums. When the national emergency actually takes place within the states, it's going to be your pastors telling everyone, get to your football stadium. Get to your basketball stadium. That's what these stadiums are being built for. For processing centers during a disaster. Keep in mind, not too long ago, last week, so-called Trump, even though we know he's just a ceremonial position, the powers that be declared what? A national emergency. And no one's preparing. These are signs. When you see something say it's national emergency and nothing is actually happening, planning is going on by the government against civilians. Okay? So when it all happens, whatever disaster or whatever they're planning, that will actually lead as a result to a national emergency being needed, whatever they call, look for your pastors to get the memo to say, in an emergency, tell your church to go to this particular building or go to this particular stadium. Mm-hmm. That's how it's going to happen. Let's go to Jeremiah 10. John 10.
Mm-hmm. St. John chapter 10, verse 1.
Come on.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way.
But climbeth up some other way. That means you have those who